Morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm back from my holiday and also the stress with Watson. Some of you will know about it. I did post on Instagram what was going on and I also put it on the community tab here on YouTube, but I'm not sure how you guys get to read that. Some of you have because you've put, you left me lovely comments, but I don't know how you get notified of that. Anyway, you'll also notice that I've got a new channel name. So these are things that happened while I was off, why I changed it, and then I was going to do a video on Monday, but Watson was ill, and so everything's kind of just gone a bit, and I feel quite stressed by it all, to be honest with you. So I apologise if I seem in any way flat in this video, but this last little thing that's happened with Watson has just really knocked me, and it's not the worst that's ever happened to him. He's been through a lot worse, but it's just like thing after thing after thing, and it just makes me so sad, and it was so stressful. And our holiday up until Watson got sick was so nice. So I had a day to do some shopping myself and potter around the house and get some things done. I finished painting this room almost. I've got a few little touch-ups to do. Then myself and Kev had a day to ourselves. We went shopping and bought some things, and then we had a lunch together, and then we took Watson on 2 really nice walks on 2 separate days, and he just seemed so healthy for once, because he has a lot of health challenges. Watson, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure everybody knows, but he is my dog, my Labradoodle, my world. And he just seemed really on form. And there's been a lot of changes in his health. We've stopped some medication, we've started other medication, and he just seemed to be doing really well. He seems happier, he seemed to have more energy. And he was digging to try and see if it was obviously a scent of some kind of animal, and we didn't let him dig too far obviously, but it was just so funny. And then the following day on the beach, he sort of dug himself into a hole, and we were like, maybe he likes digging. He's just been so ill over the 5 years of his life with various different things that it was so nice to see him like that. So that took us to Thursday. That was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday night, Watson was absolutely fine. But in the middle of the night, I thought I heard him crying, and I woke my husband up, and I was like, Watson's crying. And we both jumped up and went out into the hall, and he was crying, and Kev wasn't sure. He thought it might be a breathing thing, but we couldn't figure out what it was. He didn't seem uncomfortable. He hadn't been sick or anything at that time. So we said, well, we'll go back to bed. There's nothing else we can do. He looked like he was going back to sleep and see what happens. The following morning, he was sick, and it just got worse and worse. Long story short, it got worse and worse throughout the day. I made a vet appointment, and not long before the vet, he threw up blood, and then he pooped blood, just pure red blood. So there is blood everywhere on the carpet, in the car, which, I don't care about. That's the least of our worries. But I took him to the vet, and the vet told me that he needed to be admitted, that he was very dehydrated. So what he had was called hemorrhagic gastroenteritis. And I've got a video over on my doggy channel talking all about his symptoms and what it was and what they do to make them better. But this is a bug that it's been in the papers actually. It's kind of rife through the UK at the moment. It started in north of England, has now moved up to Scotland. And we could tell that because the waiting room in our local vets, the waiting room in the emergency vet where we were checking him in to be admitted, and then at another local vet, because my vet practice has got 2 premises, it was just jam-packed with dogs with the same symptoms and an unknown cause. So Watson was supposed to be in until Monday. That's what I was told, that we would have collected him on the Monday morning and taken him to our local vets to stay there for the day and then see how he got on. But actually he improved very, very quickly. Friday and Saturday he wasn't throwing up again after they gave him the injections and whatever else, and they put him on the drip, and he got rehydrated very quickly. But the only thing he wouldn't do was eat, and so they phoned us kind of lunchtime on Saturday and said phone again in the evening, and if he still won't eat, you need to come in. And it might be because he's just away from us, because we never ever leave Watson, and some dogs just don't do well in that environment. So we phoned, I remember they said phone between 7 and 8, and Kev was like, right, we'll be phoning at 7. I'm like, absolutely. It struck 7 and we were phoning and saying, right, can we come and get him? Are we allowed? So they said, yes, come and get him. So we brought him home, and he did eat when he got home, because they said they were letting him out on trial. So if he didn't eat, he would have had to go back in on the Sunday. So that's that. He's been home ever since, and he is much, much better. He's not eating as he should, but he's eating wet food basically. He's not gone back to eating kibble. He won't eat his raw food, which he needs to because of his colitis, and and he's now started nibbling. He's got a lump on his elbow. You guys will remember he got a lump. I thought the cancer was back, so he's on the mend. He's fine, but I've just been left, like I said, I feel really, I could cry right now, like I could sit and sob about everything that he's been through, because he's not long turned 5, and I don't think there's anything else I could have done. I've just done my absolute best to make his life healthy, and these things just seem to happen to him. He's just the unluckiest dog in the world, he really is. And just as he was looking like he was full of energy and whatnot, this happens to him. And there was a time we took him to the vet, and they said that he may well be fed up with all of the different things he's had. So I'm a worrier by nature, and I always worry about him. But normally with situations that you worry about, like I used to worry about Kev, if he wasn't home on time, I'd think he'd been in a crash. And I did a whole video on anxiety. I actually went to see somebody about it because my anxiety is that bad. And she was saying to me, right, how many times has it happened? And I was like, well, it's never happened. And so the proof sort of trains you to not think the worst outcome. But with Watson, every single time I've worried, something has happened. It has been right every time I've taken him to the vet. And even times when other people have thought I was crazy for taking him to the vet, it's turned out to be something. And so I think, well, how am I going to go forward not worrying about him even more now? Every little thing about him, I'm literally watching him, and every sound I'm like, what's he doing? So yeah, that's why I'm feeling a bit flat. I just feel bad for him that he's had to go through it all, Anyway, I know you're not all doggy people, so enough about Watson. Channel name. All I can tell you is that something happened during my holidays that poses a security risk, personal security risk to us. And I have mentioned it briefly before. I may have talked about it on my Patreon channel. That's really all I can say. That I didn't want to shut down my channel and disappear from social media, but social media makes it very easy for people to find you. And it became apparent that Mrs. Ginger was something that needed to go. It would be best for it to go. So it was either completely shut down my channel or change the name. And the funny thing is that this was really just a catalyst, because Mrs. Ginger doesn't really, although a lot of people I think will miss it being Mrs. Ginger, because I've been screamed at, Mrs. Ginger, when I went to a beauty show. And so in a way I've got an attachment to it. But the reason I called my channel that isn't a sentimental reason at all. It's actually not a nice reason. Well, it's not an awful reason, but let me tell you what happened. I was working in the NHS when I started my channel, as you know. And I had a friend, and one day she said to me, oh, you look lovely in that top. It was a green top. And I said something about, I wasn't sure with having red hair or with having ginger hair. And she said, but you're not a redhead. And this is a friend I'd had for a couple of years at work, a work friend, not like a close friend out of work or anything, but we had done a few things out of work. And I said to her, I was like, what do you mean I'm not a redhead? So I had red hair all my life. I got bullied at school for having red hair, And this was before, at the times I didn't dye it. I used to dye it at Christmas, a bright red. And she said, it's mousy brown, your hair. And I was like, it really bothered me. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying that. We were laughing about it. It wasn't a big thing, but I was just so confused, because I thought, I'm sure I'm a redhead. Have I, has my hair faded? Do I no longer have red hair? So we used to do this poll, kind of fun polls at work, where you'd send out via Outlook a poll about, would you do this or this, would you rather this or this, that kind of thing, or what do you think about so-and-so, should they go to this event or that, I don't know, silly, really silly things. And so we said, this week, why don't we send out a poll and say, does Karen have red hair? So we did, and of course it came back, I think 99% of people said, yes, you've got red hair, you are a redhead. And so of course I was like, see, I told you. And she was like, well, I just don't know what people are seeing, all I can see is mousy brown. Well, this was about the time where I was trying to find videos to do my makeup for my wedding on sort of more mature skin. I wanted to do my own makeup. I wanted to watch some videos. I couldn't find anybody that was in the UK that was over 40. I was 40 at the time. And so I had decided to set up a channel, but I couldn't decide what to call it. And I said to her, well, I'm going to call my channel Mrs. Ginger, just to spite you. You know, it was like I said, it was kind of a jokey thing. And she laughed. And so I did. And that's why I called it Mrs. Ginger. I said to her, I'm going to call everything Mrs. Ginger. So why would that not be a good memory? Because that was very funny at the time. The reason that it's not a good memory is her and I fell out in quite a big way. And it was to do with Watson, actually. Watson had really bad separation anxiety, so bad that he would, you know, I've still got a video of him trying to bite the bars of his crate when we tried his crate. Then he was trying to jump over the baby gate and he got stuck on that. And separation anxiety in dogs, if you're not aware, is a very dangerous thing. Dogs have put themselves through windows trying to get to their owners. And so we were going through this separation anxiety and we were working with trainers to try and get over it with Watson. And my friend had offered to take Watson for the day so Kev and I could have some time together and just kind of have a break. So this friend had said to me, what are you doing at the weekend? And I said, oh, we're getting a date. We're going to the pictures because my friend's having Watson. And she was like, oh, she was a very judgmental friend, if you like. You know, she was not happy with me when I went to have Botox, that kind of person that she certainly told you how it was. But then I was like that as well, which I think is why we got on. What was I saying? Yeah, anyway, she said, you know, he's just a dog. You're being ridiculous. And it really, really offended me. And I don't even now feel guilty about how much it offended me because she knew how upsetting I had been finding it. And to judge that, regardless if it was ridiculous for my friend to have the dog so that we could go to the cinema or whatever we were doing that day, she'd seen how upset I'd been about it all. You know, I was so upset. And to me, as a friend, that's all that matters. If your friend's upset, it doesn't matter whether you think it's a good reason to be upset or not. You support them and you comfort them. You know, that to me is what a friend is. And so that really, really annoyed me. And I basically I just walked off. I said, I'm going to go now before I say anything I regret in response to that, because I was livid, absolutely livid. I remember I was standing at her door just leaving for the weekend and she was like, what are you doing at the weekend? And she said, oh, it's just a dog, that's bloody ridiculous, something like that. And I was like, I'm going to leave just now before I say anything I regret. And then I didn't speak to her and she was in the office next to me. And we needed to interact about things. I needed to give her forms that I'd signed and things like that. And I was just livid. So I thought, I'm just not going to speak to her for a couple of days and I'm sure she'll say, you know, I'm sure she'll apologise. But she didn't, and she didn't speak to me either. You know, any one of us could have broken it. But like I said, it wasn't that deep a friendship that it was worth salvaging. It was clearly a superficial friendship. And somebody that reacts like that is not somebody I would want in my life anyway. So that's where the attack, every time I think about Mrs. Ginger, it makes me think about that. And there was lots of other things going on at the time at work that just, it's not something I want to be reminded of. Wow, didn't realise this video would be that long. I'm so sorry. I am going to be filming a haul after this for you, and I'm hoping to do a video on collagen as well. So why the Beauty Maverick? Well, there was lots of names that I wanted, but I wanted to make sure that I changed everything, you know, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc, etc. Don't really use Twitter, so I've just deleted that and I'm not using that. So I needed to go onto each of those places and find out if the names that I thought of were available, and were they available on each social media as well as YouTube. And I felt like it was the perfect time to give my channel a name that I felt more described me, because Mrs. Ginger's Beauty doesn't really tell you anything, you know. So I was sitting, when we were going on our walks with Watson, there's normally a long car journey, so that's the time I was using to sort of brainstorm, if you like, and I would be writing in my phone the things I'd thought of. But most of the things I thought of were already taken, and the things I was thinking of was like the beauty detective or the beauty inspector, things like that, because I feel like what I want to do on my channel is to really look beyond the marketing claims and tell you what the evidence is, and you know, can you get anything else that's cheaper? I don't want you to spend money because you've been taken in by a marketing claim, because I know that that can easily happen, especially if you're feeling really down about yourself, you know. So I was looking up all of those names and they were all taken. And then I used like a thesaurus, and this Maverick name came up, and I thought, Beauty Maverick, is that me? And funny enough, I'd been speaking to my husband, not a very jolly subject, and I don't know why we were talking about it, but I was saying what would be we were talking about each other's eulogies and what we would say about each other. And he was saying that what he would say about me was, she forged her own path, you know. And I am often called a maverick, you know. I don't ever follow the rules, I don't follow instructions, I do things my own way. And so I thought, you know what, that probably is quite fitting. And you know, when you think about things like, I used to wear the eyeliner underneath my eyes, despite the fact that nobody liked it. Okay, I've stopped doing it now, but I still get a lot of comments that I shouldn't be wearing shimmery eyeshadow, things like that. And I thought, yeah, I think that the Beauty Maverick is quite a fitting name. Sadly, I don't think I have protected myself completely, because if you search Mrs. Ginger, it still comes up. And obviously it comes up with pictures of me, so it would be easy for somebody to search Mrs. Ginger and find that out, and see that picture of me. But I don't know what else I can do about that. I have sat and painstakingly gone through every single video I have and taken out the tag of Mrs. Ginger. So there are no tags at all. There's nothing in the description saying Mrs. Ginger. You know, I've gone through all of the descriptions. It's taken me hours. But yeah, I think that it's just there. Once it's on the internet, it's there, you know, it will always be there. But if you put Mrs. Ginger in, it comes up with the Beauty Maverick. So I don't mind. I don't know if this is a sensible decision to change it or not. It was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction from fear, like I said, because there's an issue that I can't really talk about. But I also thought that it would be quite nice to have something descriptive. So anyway, I hope that you aren't too disappointed. I know somebody said that I'll always be Mrs. Ginger, and I thought, I actually can't wait to bury Mrs. Ginger personally. That's all caught up, I think. So I'm going to do a little video now on some things I've bought. So I'll upload that for you as soon as I can. And like I said, I'll try and do a collagen video as well. Talking about schedule, I have mostly on my channel from the beginning, for the first few years, not done videos on a specific day. I just did it any day. And I was told several times that you should be scheduling it by, you know, well-meaning friends that also did YouTube. And also I went on a YouTube day in Edinburgh, and they did a channel review for me. And what they said is that you've got everything right, except for you should be scheduling on specific days, and you should be telling people what your days you're scheduling on. But I had asked you guys, you know, do you prefer a schedule? Do you prefer a specific day? And the answers I got at the time were no, we prefer it to be more organic. But I did eventually kind of succumb, if you like, and do that. And so, as you know, I schedule on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Sometimes there's an extra video on a Thursday. But I find that constrictive. Is that the right word? Constrictive. Anyway, you know what I mean. I prefer when I can just get a video edited and then just get it up immediately, you know, whether or not that is a Monday, a Wednesday, whatever. And I feel like I was able to do more videos when I was not doing them on a schedule. So let me know what you think about that. That's everything. We're up to date. Thank you so much for all your lovely messages about Watson. I really appreciated it. It's really nice, and it certainly means a lot to me when people take a minute, you know, to leave a comment and say that I hope he's doing well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.